I'm going to talk about discipline.
I'm disciplined. I discipline all over the place.
What the
You
fuck?
gonna learn today.
What does that mean?
I don't know. We're venging out here.
Oh.
It's venging time.
Get in, losers. We're going lifting. Welcome back to the Dangerous Woman podcast. I'm your host, Colleen Conlon, and I have back with me today, Tim Facciola. Today, I have a question for Tim. How do you build discipline?
Well, I'm glad you asked how you build discipline and not how do you foster motivation.
Ooh.
Because that's something I get asked, like, how do you stay motivated? And I'm just like, I don't rely on motivation. Like,
It's discipline.
yeah, very much so. So I appreciate even the phrasing of the question. So how do you build discipline?
Yeah.
I think it is an alignment of knowing what you want, having a plan to go after it, and doing all the hard work. So all you have to do on the day is show up for yourself. And the showing up for yourself is hard enough, which is why I think it's so important to make sure you get those other two things in alignment. Very often people just look at all three of those and say like, oh, it's hard to stay disciplined, but they don't have a goal set. They don't have they don't have their why and they don't have their how, and they're just trying to do the what. But if you don't have any of those three on any given day, anyone can go wrong. But if you have the how and the why, and now it's just showing up, it's much more manageable.
That's the thing. Like, I think people don't realize that strategy is so important when we're trying to go after something specific. So do you find that when you are in different areas of your life, you know, be it fitness or be it business or fun fact? So Tim is a total nerd.
Prefer geek, but it's fine.
What is the nerdiest thing that you do? Okay, hang on. Let me rephrase that. Tim writes epic fantasy.
I feel epic fantasy readers and fans out there. All 12 of you. There are dozens of us. Yeah. No.
Well, okay. I love the nerd in you. I love the nerd in all areas. I just love nerdy people in general because I think what's so unique about, you know, the term nerd, and I know there's a difference between a geek and a nerd. Somebody's going to need to give me the Urban Dictionary read for that. But you're just so fascinated by something. You really go deep on topics where it's you just know so much more about something than the average person. It's something that I truly admire. And when it comes to being disciplined in terms of writing, creating these worlds, or, you know, achieving a fitness goal or a nutrition goal, or, you know, moving forward in your business, the way that you create discipline, does it change? Or is it always there needs to be a strategy, there needs to be an action plan, and I need to show even on the days where I don't want to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with writing and if I'm coaching authors, my author coaching stuff, it's you start out module 1. What is your author mission statement? You want to build a brand, you want to build a business, you want to write a book. What is your mission statement? Who are you? What are you doing? What is it for? What is your why? If you don't have that, and here's the thing, I think the difference is with creativity or creating something. With fitness, some people's goals are maintaining something. Some people's goals are, building the body of their dreams. Other people want to feel better. It's less of a, it requires more of a discipline. If you don't write, the story doesn't exist. That's its own tragedy. But if you don't take care of your body's not going to take care of you.
No.
It needs to be a two-way street. So yeah, with an exercise program, notice I said program. It's not, there's a purpose, there's a mission behind it. And very often there isn't. We just program because we think we're supposed to. And but you know what I mean? But there's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, like even if we look at the difference between like people who show up to do random workouts or like group fitness, and it's not to hate on group fitness. I love group fitness for what group fitness can provide for people. But, you know, when you go in with more of a strategy, you're on some type of a progressive training program, maybe you're working with that personal trainer, the results, the ability to continue on, a lot of times there is a greater outcome than what can necessarily happen just by showing up randomly. And the strategy is just a little bit looser, or maybe there's not really a strategy other than I'm going to
show up because I'm supposed to show up. I'm going to work out 'cause I'm supposed to work out. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I feel like, especially depending on other factors in life, you know, you need to, like, sometimes people, fitness is their priority, and other time they're fitness in. They're just trying to fit it in.
They're fitting it in.
They're fitting it in.
Fitting it in.
It's not fitness. They're fitting it in, and which is okay, I think. But you need to have that realization and alignment of your expectations. If you're expecting, like, I'm gonna have the body of my dreams, and you are fitting it in,
Yeah.
It takes a lot to not only inspire but to force change.
Yeah.
You're like the status quo, like laws of inertia, a body in motion will stay in motion, a body at rest will stay at rest. So it takes a lot to create that type of change, especially when you want to direct change to look a specific way. So it requires consistency. Like, that is the biggest thing. And if you lack discipline, you're making it really hard for yourself to achieve anything. I think that goes for any walk of life. Discipline is one of those key ingredients, like, to make anything work the way you want it to. You need to show up. You need to do it. You need to be able to drive.
And that's the part that I think sometimes people miss. It's like they think discipline almost means perfection, and it really is just consistency. You know, something that I always remind myself, I have this written on our whiteboard in our garage gym, and I say it to all of my clients. It's like, you know, I just need you to be present. I don't need you to be perfect. And whatever energy you have access to today, then you're going to give 100% of that. And that 100% today might look different than the 100% you have access to on Saturday. And that's okay. Somebody, I'm trying to think where it was on Instagram, but there's some Olympian, and she was talking about how her coach was like, you know, how are you feeling in your training? She was like, I feel like, you know, I've had a couple of really good sessions, but for most of the time, it's just been eh. And he's like, good. It doesn't need to be this crazy high thing all of the time. Sometimes it's good to just, you know, have some variation in how it is you're feeling. And I think sometimes we just put all of this pressure that, you know, professional athlete, they're doing things and it must be perfect all the time. And that's not necessarily the case.
Well, the concept of perfect situations, perfect setups, perfect, like, if you wait for perfect, you'll be waiting forever.
Well, it's always changing. It's a target that's like constantly in motion.
You're trying to hit a moving target. I like progress over perfection is a thing, but I always liked how yoga calls it a practice.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's a practice. You're showing up, and sometimes showing up means it's a walkthrough. You're literally going through the motions. You're doing mental reps. It doesn't necessarily have to be this, like, you know, balls to the wall. Like, I think people think I need to run through this wall every time I get to the gym.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having moments where it's like, I'm going to go ham.
Sure.
But it's not going to be all the time.
And it's usually because all those other things are already in alignment.
Yeah.
You have a mission. You know what you're after. You have a strategy to achieve it. And
you're very disciplined. I have a client. There's a client that we share, and oh my gosh, she's going after something really big this year. And the amount of discipline that she is putting into this in terms of just getting the people that she needs on her team, you know, having the biomechanics specialist, having the kettlebell coach, having registered dietitian Hillary Irvin, you know, and just having this plan laid out and following everything to the best of her ability is amazing. And in the midst of it, life is happening.
And life is, like, I wouldn't say her circumstances are conducive to her objective. They're not. She makes it work.
Yeah.
Like, as much as, you know, we're talking about fitness for fitting it, you know, fitting it in. Like even on her tough days, she does have days where she's fitting it in, but she keeps moving forward. And I think that is, you know, the practice portion of it. Like discipline on its own, it's a practice. It is not going to, nothing good will show. Nothing good will come if you don't have it. I think it is one of those foundational building blocks of success of any kind.
Yeah, you just have to show up and show out, and sometimes you're going to get to show something absolutely incredible, and other times it's going to be like, I don't want anyone to see this. Nobody's going to see this. I mean, I have plenty of training sessions where I'm just like, yep, nothing's going on Instagram today.
But I think that's the, like, you know, part of the society we live in is we see everything's a highlight reel, right?
And I think there's reason for that. Like okay, I'm going to be totally transparent. The reason I do not show fuck ups of me training online is because I don't want somebody to be like, that's my first impression of her.
Well, of course.
She fucked this up. No way am I going to work with her, or like questioning, you know, her ability to coach. And I also don't enjoy watching my fuck ups, and I don't want my clients seeing the fuck ups, because I think to an extent, if we keep watching the failure again and again, we almost like manifest that to a point of this is just like the new reality. This is always going to happen. Anytime something like kind of sketch happens with me in a kettlebell, like last year, I remember I had a session. I was single arm swinging one of these big bells, and my grip just gave out, and the kettlebell went whoosh back behind me. I was just like, I can't watch this, because I do not want that visual in my head where I start to psych myself out that this is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very valid and totally true. But I think I'm not saying that you should post that. What I'm saying is, like, social media is a highlight reel. That is just, it is. So if it is a highlight reel, that we think that is how we also have to show up, and that other people are infallible, it becomes a comparison game. I see it in like the writer space all the time, where people compare their first draft to like my finished book. It's like, you're failing to realize, and maybe you do at a cognitive level, but at an emotional level, you're failing to realize that, like, the once upon a time, this was right where you're at.
Yeah.
But it's part of the process. It's part of the practice.
Yeah.
And like with fitness, it is definitely not a linear journey. You do want to put one foot in front of the other, but like there's going to be, you know, there's natural, like, exponential, you know, upticks and progression. There's seasons where you're just trying to maintain, and people go, oh, you never want to plateau. It's like, no,
it's going to happen.
Sometimes maintenance is the best place to be.
It's so much like climbing a mountain. And I love the mountain analogy, because, you know, when we go hiking, it's very much like we go for a stretch of time. We take a moment. We look out to see, you know, our surroundings. Sometimes we'll have a snack. Sometimes we'll walk. Tim will start to like run. He's a fucking mountain goat. Oh my gosh. I like when me and Tim go hiking. Tim's like having these really like deep conversations or talking about like a world he's building. And I'm just like, hang on, I need my inhaler. I'm asthmatic if you didn't know that. And man, oh man, you just like trudge. But getting back to the topic, I think when we go hiking, you know, we take moments to pause, to take break. And sometimes you go down in order to get ready to go up a bigger peak. And that happens with fitness all of the time. I mean, there have been moments where I feel like I'm making so much progress. And then regardless of a setback, or if I just want to work on doing something new, sometimes we have to, you know, pivot or go down or go back to get ready to go up the next trail.
I think that, like, there's never too much time to focus on the basics. There's never a bad time to reassert your fundamental understanding of a movement pattern. I think there's something that's really liberating about like allowing yourself to, you talk about being present, being in the moment, like, but if you're doing the same pattern, right? But come at it from a beginner's mindset of like, what am I feeling? What is the sensations? I like it, just allowing your body to be in tune with that. I mean, we were talking like someone used like, oh, it's so repetitive. And it's like, well, there's only, short of, inventing exercises and just doing things to be different. Like what are we trying to stimulate? Are you trying to stimulate your mind? You're trying to stimulate your body, your goals, right?
Well, I think sometimes people get bored and then we have to, ask the question like, well, what is your goal? Like, are you trying to get a specific result or are you just, trying to have fun? Can you do both? I think you can, but I think it depends on, how do you define fun? How do you need to be stimulated? What needs to happen for you to be excited? And it's great when we can find that and it's in alignment with your goal. But like, I remember when I was training for Guinness, like I went for a world record for doing as many possible reps with the Turkish get up in the hour. Like there were training blocks where all I did were Turkish get ups. And yeah, it wasn't that stimulating. It was fucking boring to keep doing the same thing again and again. But that was the goal I had. That was the thing that I wanted to achieve. So sometimes, in order to achieve whatever it is you're going after, it's not always going to be the funnest thing. And you have to decide, what matters more, having fun in this moment or achieving the goal.
It's practice.
It's discipline.
Like I think that there needs to be a reframing of that. And I like the word presence. I like the word like practice. I don't like the word motivation. And
yeah, why?
Because
moist.
No, not like that.
Juicy.
It has nothing to do with any of that. I don't know. What are you doing? No. And now it's that kind of podcast.
Oh, I'm not going to the mall.
I was right.
Keep spelling.
So we're
on a couch.
We are. Are you going to the mall? Okay.
Keep spelling. Yeah. Do you remember what we're talking about?
No. Derailed. So
motivation. You don't like motivation.
I don't like the word motivation. I don't like the word motivation because it can be such a fickle thing. Motivation is a fickle muse. And if you try to rely on it, you will be so on and off. And that, like, I've never found a workout that you can do once and get the goal you want. I've never found that workout. Unless it's like, I want to be able to,
jump rope, maybe.
Well, if it's a simple, like, I want to learn like a new skill. Like, I do think like you can have some skill acquisition in a session or make a lot of progress in a skill acquisition in one session. Sure.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about like body modification.
One workout,
you're not,
and just jumping around. No,
it's not happening. So like I've never met anyone who's written a whole novel in one sitting. Never met that person. Now, could you write a short story in one sitting? Sure. But if we're talking about like the big project, the big goal, the big, fitness or wellness goal that you have, it's probably not built in a day.
Yeah.
So if you don't cultivate your discipline, if you rely on motivation, you might not make it. And like, have I ever told you, I'm sure maybe you don't remember.
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you
We've
anyway.
hung out for 14 years.
So have I told you the story of the 20-mile march?
No.
Absolutely have. I absolutely
Oh my gosh, there's secrets.
But anywho, the 20-mile march. So the concept was there's two exploring caravans. And they're going to the South Pole, someplace dangerous, someplace hard to get, right? There's Team A and Team B. Team A is like, come hell or high water, no matter what. Good days, bad days. Good weather, bad weather. I'm sick, doesn't matter. 20 miles a day.
Yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it. Now, how did they arrive on 20 miles a day? They said this is the bare minimum. Like on our worst day, we can do 20 miles. That's how they like, it sounds like a lot of miles, but like,
it does sound like a lot, but
that's how they determined this is the minimum. On our worst day, we can do this.
Okay.
When the world is against us, we can do this. And then with Team B was like, no, we're going to,
really like Team A. I don't know what Team B is about to do.
They're going to go by the weather. On the good days, we're going to try to hit 40 miles. On the bad days, we might hunker down. We might not move at all. But when the going is good, we're just going to go. We're going to rip it. So which team, only one team makes it to the South Pole. Which one makes it?
Team A.
Why?
They have that discipline. They already set that expectation of this is the bare minimum. I know I can do this.
The minimum. That's the important part.
Yeah.
The minimum.
I love that.
I think so often because we're focused on perfection, it's like, well, it's a good day. I want to go freaking ham. I want to get 80 miles. And it's like, well, then you set yourself up for, even if tomorrow's a good day, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And so like, I'll bring it back to writing. When I have my authors write an author mission statement, it's, I'm this, I write this. So like for me, it's like I write epic fantasy stories that focus on hope, but each week I'm going to write minimum of 5,000 words, or I'm going to spend 10 hours on this because, sometimes I'm not drafting.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually accumulating a word count. I'm going to invest 10 hours of my time moving it forward. Now, you know me, I spend a lot more time on that than 10 hours. I spend a lot more time, but I set my minimum at 10 because I know I can do it.
Totally.
And that creates this like self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. And it motivates you to keep showing up, but it's a manufactured motivation. I am creating it as opposed to relying on it coming externally. I do that through continued success. I'm like getting those serotonin dips of like, oh, I did the thing I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
It builds trust in myself.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift over to your fitness journey. What is the bare minimum you can do? Now, the issue is I think we lose sight of the big picture with fitness. And what I mean by that is like every day I need to crush.
No.
And that's not necessarily it. Every week I need to crush. It's like closer.
When you have the energy to like really kick it up, I think you take advantage, but you understand that this isn't going to be every single day.
But let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
So I'd asked earlier, how many times have you completed your objective in a single workout?
You don't. It takes time.
So how many times in a week have you completed your objective? It doesn't. It takes time.
Yeah.
So each time we're spreading it out a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Now a mesocycle, like, okay, let me ask you then what when you create a training block, how long is it usually?
Typically it's about 12 weeks.
12 weeks. So can you crush 12 weeks? What happens after that 12-week period? What do you typically do?
I take a break.
Oh, wow, look at that.
I take a deload week.
So like when we look at like we create success, we create our own success. We create our own discipline. We create our own motivation by succeeding. But we need to set ourselves up for success. And that comes back to why am I doing this? And what is my strategy to achieve it?
And I think the other thing that's really important for anybody who's, asking the question, how do I cultivate this for myself? How do I develop this discipline for myself? It's a matter of asking yourself, what do you want? Putting the blinders up to thinking that this is what I should want because I see this is what other people want.
I think there's also a degree of, having an open, honest conversation of, I think a lot of people want a lot of things because we are so inundated with like, you need to be doing this and that. And it's like, you can only do so many things at once. So sometimes you have to say no to a good thing to make room for something great.
Yeah. And I also believe that if you want a lot of different things, you can achieve them, but you might not be able to achieve everything right now. You have to be strategic about how it's all going to unfold.
Priorities. Yeah. And like, this might not be a season of like, so let's just use Arizona, right? So we live in Arizona.
It's hot in Arizona. It's hot.
It's hot in the summers. So if someone's like, okay, I want to ramp up and let's just pick an outdoor activity. Let's use running because that's easy. I'm going to, do my running, but I can't run in the mornings and it's going to have to be at midday. It's going to because this is when, I'm only going to be able to go on my lunch break. I have the kids in the morning. So there's all these like fixed things, right? Are you sure this is the time that we're going to be trying to peak? It's, if you want it, I guess, sure. But you're going uphill. Now, can you prioritize something else in this time period and then really hit it hard come the fall? And I think you need to be strategic. You need to have a plan.
I don't want anyone to start thinking, I can't wait to get injured. But I think sometimes, I think sometimes when people get injured and they're just like, I can't continue to do that thing, something really cool happens. You have to pivot. And sometimes that allows you to become stronger at the thing that you wanted to work towards in the first place. You're like so shocked. That's
well, I don't, yeah,
where I went.
I mean, no one's like, I'm just waiting for this hamstring pull. Like,
Well, because I find a lot of people, they use I got injured as an excuse to just stop. And I think that is not the way you look at it. To stop exercising. I've had clients who are just like, I twisted my ankle. I guess we're done. And I'm just like, get back here. What are you talking about? There's so much that we can do while this is happening. This isn't the end. This is just a moment in time. Don't let the fact that we can no longer continue to work on this specific goal demotivate you. Stay disciplined, stay in the game. Let's just pivot our approach. Let's pivot our strategy. Let's get you stronger than you have been in the past. So when you get back to that goal that got a little bit derailed, even though you took a step back, you're going to be able to take 4 steps forward.
Sure. Injury threw me off. I'm hoping for an injury. I mean, like, sometimes, so, okay, let me reframe it. So if it's like, oh, I'm sick this week, I'm going to take this week off. And it's like,
I'm cool when people are sick.
But when people are so desperate
for what?
Get out of their routine.
Why?
There's usually a reason for that. And it's because one of those things early on was already malaligned.
Yeah.
You know, your why and your how weren't aligned. And therefore you're showing up against your own will. And like, that sucks. And like, creating that alignment, you'll have a practice that builds upon itself, that fosters its own success, that creates an environment in which you want to be in, that you want to show up. And you might not have every day be like your day, but like, you're not going to be asking people on the internet, like, how do you stay motivated? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that,
sure.
That doesn't come from a healthy place.
No, it does not. You know, one thing that I find to be really helpful is after every single session I have is I find a win. And I think some people are just like, I can't find a win. And it's like, try harder.
I'm one of those people. Like,
you are one of those people.
I definitely don't.
There was a point in time you were just like, I hate that you asked me this.
I don't think that was me. I don't.
Okay.
I'm not going to yes and this.
Well, something that we have recently done is we actually go through this every single day. We try to walk, but even if we don't, it's like before we get ready to go to bed, it's what are you grateful for today? What's a win? What are you looking forward to? What do you cherish about yourself? What do you cherish about the other person? And it's been really nice. And I love the win because, you know, we were talking about this before. It builds up this confidence. It builds up a trust in yourself. And sometimes, you know what the win is? I showed up. That tends to be my win more times than not.
Yeah, same. And that's why I think like it doesn't feel like a victory, but in some days it is. And in seasons of life where you are in survival mode as opposed to thriveful mode.
Yeah.
Like, you can create your thriveful setting, but it does need, I think it really does start with, do I have the right goal? Do I have the right strategy to achieve that goal? And am I willing to show up day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out for about probably 12 weeks?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times when it comes to fitness, when people are just like, I want to see change, is this actually working? You know, can you see some type of change in a week? It really depends on what metric are we judging? Is it like you couldn't deadlift a kettlebell and in a week, can we get you to deadlift a kettlebell? Yeah. But it's like, you know, you want to lose 30 pounds. Is it going to happen in a week? I hope it doesn't happen in a week.
You lost a limb if it does, like something bad happened.
But typically 12 weeks is a really good chunk of time to see, is this actually working? And I think sometimes people just expect things to happen so much quicker and they never take that minimum amount of time to see, you know, is this actually moving the needle forward or not?
Well, you bring up a good point. So like from an exercise physiology standpoint, right? Like very often, especially someone who's detrained, like deconditioned, they don't have a practice, a discipline. Maybe they do something every once in a while. Maybe they, I'm going to get a run in, or like they're, you know what I mean?
There's a motivational day.
There's they don't have a practice. They don't have a discipline, right? So when they start getting serious and showing up consistently for themselves, even at that point, it takes about 6 weeks of consistency to start creating neurological adaptations, which you don't see on a person. Now, if you have if we're talking about weight loss, that definitely happens much sooner. But I'm talking about strength gains. You're going to start seeing stuff over the course of a 6 week period. You're not going to have an increase in muscle cell size in those first 6 weeks. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
People might be like, "Oh, I think I look tone," or "I think that's great."
I love that you're there.
That for you. But those first 6 weeks is, generally speaking, all neurological changes. So what does that mean? That means greater capillary density, better, more mitochondria in the cell. That's the kind of stuff that's happening. It's not sexy, but
talk nerdy to me. I love this.
Mitochondria. Yeah, I can't do this. But those are the things that are happening in the early goings in those 6 weeks. So if people get frustrated and they're like, I'm not seeing it, what's the point? I'm not going to show up this week. And we're on week 4, then you're giving your body the opportunity to be like, well, that was a weird 4 weeks. Let's go back to what we knew. Let's go back to the status quo. Going back to what I was saying earlier, inertia. Your body, it's so much easier to stay the same than it is to change. You have to actively want it to change, consistently want to change. You have to continually overeat to gain weight, right?
Yeah.
Period.
I think for people who are on board where it's like, I get that I have to be disciplined, but how do I continue to stay in the game? There's some other things that can just be really beneficial. It's not just acknowledging, the pieces that you're talking about, but it's consistently reminding yourself of those things. Something that I always encourage the athletes who start working with me to do is this visualization practice called Find Your Fierce. And we are, dreaming up this version of ourselves that we want to come out and, take over. And I have people come up with, a song that represents this type of energy. There's a mantra or a word that goes along with this, and we keep it in the training space to serve as a reminder as to why we're doing this and how to stay present. And especially, if you are somebody who wants to accomplish a big goal, and let's stay focused on fitness, but maybe you don't have the support system at home, you don't have other people who get it, that can be really challenging to keep your head in the game when they're encouraging you to do other things or saying, the workout's not that important or the nutrition isn't that important. So having those reminders for yourself or having some type of a reflection practice, be it, journaling or having conversation with coach or in community, can just be really beneficial to stay in the game instead of, being taken out because you don't have that support.
Yeah, a support system is huge. It's, regardless of what it is. If you have detractors, it can be self-sabotaging, even if it's not rooted in the self. But if that's your environment, that is a very difficult thing to overcome.
And that's one of the things where it's just like, well, I live with my mom and my mom doesn't get it, but I'm not just gonna say fuck you, mom, and go out. Maybe you will, but I think sometimes we can't just leave an environment.
But then that influences the expectations. You need to reflect on it. Well, this is your reality at this point. So how does that manage your expectations so that you can still feel like I'm still achieving success? Not as much as I would, could, or should, but based on the expectation, I am creating success. I do feel good about the progress I'm making. I'm not getting ahead of myself and being disappointed with where I'm not at.
Yeah.
So it always comes back to, do you have a realistic expectation? Have you set yourself up for success, or are you positioning yourself for disappointment? Because disappointment will breed failure.
I think anybody who's listening to this right now and you are trying to cultivate that for yourself, that's worth journaling about or having a conversation with somebody about.
especially your support system
Yeah.
or your would-be support system.
And you know what? If you don't currently have that support system and you want to share that with us, comment below. We would love to see. We would love to follow up with you and see, what is going on? What are you working towards? How are you planning to cultivate this discipline for the dream that you have for yourself? So take advantage of this space, take advantage of this community, and we'll help to hype you up. Tim, as we get ready to wrap this episode, is there anything else that you want to share on the topic of discipline or how to be disciplined? Is there ever a time where you're like too disciplined? I'll say this. I think if it starts to like get to a point where you just can't function as a person and you're so like rigid.
So I will say this, and this is something that I have my writers do. What are your before anything else's? Everyone should have something that comes before fitness. You should have things that come before fitness.
We used to work for a luxury gym company, and their motto was, it's life, right?
Yeah.
It's not your life.
It shouldn't be. If it is, there's like, we have to look at if we take a holistic approach to what it means to be healthy, what it means to be well, what it means to be fit, that the physical fitness aspect of it is 1/6, 1/8 of that pie.
Yeah.
So what are your before anything else's? Whether, that's your family, whether that's your mental health, whether that and you have to be honest with yourself about these things. Like, it needs to be an open and honest conversation, an open and honest introspection. If you are, you're so disciplined. I showed up at the gym, but I hate myself. Then what are we doing?
We have some mental health work that needs to
what are we doing
be
here?
a priority.
So I think that treat the whole person. Look at the whole person. Your goal with fitness should be to build a practice to become a better person. It should be more than just like, I look a certain way.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
not gonna knock on aesthetic goals, I think.
No, but okay, so when in you achieving your body, right? What did that give you? Did that not give you a profound understanding of like, when I work towards something, when I put my mind to something, when I create the right systems and have the right support systems,
it's self-trust.
And when you trust yourself, are you positioned to make better decisions? Are you positioned
in every aspect
help
of
more
life?
People in your life?
Absolutely.
So are you a better person having gone on this fitness journey?
Yes.
That's what it should do. If it's just for yourself, you're missing the bigger picture. But that's getting philosophical.
That's a different conversation.
Eyebrows.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. Make sure you give us a follow so you never miss an episode.